The Zillow listing went live at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. Stunning lakefront estate. 7-bed, 8-bath, 8,500 square feet. Private dock, wine cellar, home theater. $4.2 million. The photos were gorgeous. My real estate agent had done an excellent job. Morning light streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The gourmet kitchen gleamed with marble countertops. The master suite overlooked the lake. My phone buzzed at 9:47 a.m. Mom, family meeting tomorrow, 2 p.m. Very urgent, don't be late. I stared at the message, then at the Zillow notification showing 23 people had viewed my listing in the past hour. 9 months. That's how long it had been since my parents last texted me. 9 months since my wedding day, the day they decided not to show up because they couldn't support my choices. But 47 minutes after my mansion hit the real estate market, suddenly they had my number again. Let me guess, my wife Sophia said, reading over my shoulder. They saw the house. Urgent family meeting, I read aloud, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Because ignoring your daughter's wedding is totally fine, but a real estate listing requires immediate attention. Sophia wrapped her arms around me from behind. You don't have to go, Alina. Oh, I'm going, I said, opening my laptop, but not to reunite, to finish this. My name is Alina Rodriguez, and I'm a 34-year-old commercial real estate developer. I built my first property at 27, flipped it for a profit, and never looked back. Now I own a portfolio worth $40 million, and that mansion on Zillow, that's my personal residence. My parents never cared about any of it. They cared that my older brother, Thomas, was a surgeon. They cared that my younger sister, Maria, married a hedge fund manager. But me, the middle child who went into construction, I might as well have been invisible. When I came out as gay at 25, they were disappointed. When I introduced them to Sophia 3 years ago, they were concerned about what people would think. When I proposed to her on a beach in Santorini, they said we were rushing into things. When we sent them a wedding invitation, a small ceremony at a vineyard with just 80 guests, my mother called. Elena, we can't come to this event. It's my wedding, Mom. It's not a real wedding, not in the eyes of the church, not in the eyes of our family. It's real to me and Sophia. We can't support this lifestyle choice. Your father and I talked about it, and we agree. If you insist on going through with this, we won't be there. Neither will Thomas or Maria. This is a family decision. My throat tightened. So you're choosing not to come to my wedding? We're choosing not to enable your mistakes, she said coldly. When you come to your senses, we'll be here. Until then, we can't be part of this. I hung up and cried for 3 hours. Then I dried my tears, finalized the wedding plans, and married the love of my life, surrounded by people who actually cared about us. My parents sent nothing, no card, no call, no acknowledgement that their daughter had gotten married. 9 months of silence. Until the mansion. I spent the evening preparing for the family meeting. I printed documents, organized folders, and made several phone calls. Are you sure about this? Sophia asked, watching me work. They made their choice 9 months ago, I said, highlighting a section in one of the documents. They chose their pride over their daughter. Now they want back in because they saw I'm successful, but success without their support means they don't get to benefit from it. What are you planning? I showed her the folder, the truth, all of it. The next day, I drove to my parents' house. Not in my usual Tesla, but in my other car, the Range Rover I kept for property site visits. Because if they wanted to have a conversation about real estate, I'd give them one. My mother opened the door with a smile I hadn't seen in years. Elena, you look wonderful. Come in, come in. The dining room table was set for 5, my parents, Thomas, Maria, and me. Like old times, except we'd never really had old times. Just a series of dinners where I was tolerated but never celebrated. Where's Sophia? Maria asked, her tone suggesting she already knew the answer. Home. This is a family meeting, right? And you've made it clear Sophia isn't family. Awkward silence. Well, my father cleared his throat. Let's sit down. Your mother made her famous tamales. We sat. I placed my folder on the table but didn't open it yet. So, Mom started, her smile bright and fake. We saw you listed a property. On Zillow. It's quite impressive. It's my house, I said. The one Sophia and I have been living in for 6 months. $4.2 million, Thomas said, and I couldn't tell if he was impressed or calculating. That's a significant asset. It is. We didn't realize you were doing so well, Dad said carefully. Your mother and I were talking, and we thought perhaps we've been distant, that maybe it's time to reconnect. Family is important, after all. Family is important. I agreed. So important that you should show up when your daughter gets married. The temperature in the room dropped. Elena, let's not dwell on the past, Mom started. 9 months, I interrupted. I've been married for 9 months. Not once did any of you call, text, or acknowledge my existence. But the mansion hits Zillow, and suddenly there's an urgent family meeting. We wanted to give you space, Maria offered weakly. Space? Or were you waiting for me to come to my senses and leave Sofia? Silence. Let's be honest about why I'm here, I said, opening my folder. You saw the Zillow listing. You saw $4.2 million and thought, Elena has money now. We should reconnect. That's not fair, Thomas protested. This, I pulled out the first document, is the deed to the mansion, purchased 18 months ago for $3.1 million. Cash, no mortgage. My father's eyes widened. You paid cash? This, I continued, ignoring him, is my company, Rodriguez Development Group. Current portfolio value, $40 million. Properties across 3 states, 27 employees. I watched their faces change as they processed the numbers. This is my personal net worth, $15.2 million. This is Sophia's net worth. She's a corporate attorney, $2.8 million. Combined, we're worth more than everyone at this table. Why are you telling us this? Mom asked, and for the first time she looked uncertain. Because you need to understand what you gave up when you skipped my wedding. I pulled out more documents. These are the photos from that day. That event you couldn't support. Sophia in her dress. Me in mine. Our first dance. Our vows. I spread them across the table, covering the tamales. These are the people who showed up for us. 80 guests, friends, colleagues, Sophia's family. People who loved us enough to celebrate with us. People who didn't care that we were 2 women. They only cared that we were happy. Maria was crying now. Thomas looked uncomfortable. My parents sat frozen. This, I pulled out another document, is the wedding gift from Sophia's parents. A check for $50,000 with a note. For our daughter and our new daughter to build your future together. They claimed me as family. You discarded me. Elena, we were wrong, Dad started. You weren't just wrong. You were cruel. You chose your prejudice over your daughter. You cared more about what the church ladies might think than about your own child's happiness. And now, because you saw I'm successful, you want back in. We want to make amends, Mom said, her voice breaking. Do you? Or do you just want access to my success? I pulled out the final document. Because here's the thing about that mansion on Zillow. It's not actually for sale. They all stared at me. My agent listed it as a market test. To see what interest there'd be, what price point we could achieve. It's not actually on the market yet. Then why? Thomas started. Because I wanted to see exactly this, how long it would take for you to contact me once you saw I had something worth wanting. I checked my watch. 47 minutes from the listing going live to Mom's text. That's all I was worth to you. 47 minutes. The room was silent except for Maria's quiet crying. But since we're having this family meeting, I continued, let's talk about family property. I pulled out one more folder. Do you know who owns this house? The one we're sitting in right now. My father frowned. We do. We've owned it for 35 years. No, Dad, you owned it. Past tense. I slid the document across the table. You refinanced it 4 years ago and almost lost it to foreclosure 2 years ago. Your mortgage was bought by an investment group. We made arrangements, Mom protested. The investment group is mine. Rodriguez Development Group. I bought your mortgage 18 months ago. You've been paying me rent for the past year and a half. You could have heard a pin drop. That's impossible, Thomas whispered. It's all documented. The sale went through my company, which is why you didn't recognize the name. I've been your landlord for 18 months. And that's not all. I pulled out another document. This is a 30-day notice to vacate. You're evicting us. My mother's voice was barely audible. I'm selling the property. It's a great neighborhood. Excellent bones. Good investment potential. I should get about $800,000 for it. But the sale requires vacant possession, which means you need to leave. Elena, you can't, Dad started. I can. I own it. And just like you couldn't support my lifestyle choice, I can't support keeping a rental property occupied by people who don't respect me. This is our home, Mom cried. and my wedding was my life. Funny how things that mattered to you seemed important, but things that mattered to me were disposable. Maria finally spoke, her voice thick with tears. I'm sorry, Elena. I'm so sorry. We were wrong. We were horrible. Please don't do this. Why not? You did it to me. You threw away your daughter because she didn't fit your expectations. I'm just making a business decision, which, by the way, is exactly what you taught me. That family comes with conditions. That love has requirements. We do love you. Mom reached for my hand. I pulled away. You love who you wanted me to be, the straight daughter who married a man and gave you grandchildren. But I'm not that person. I'm Elena, successful, married to a woman I adore, happier than I've ever been. And that Elena, you rejected her. What do you want? Thomas asked. Money? We can pay you. I don't want your money. I have more than enough of my own. I stood up. I wanted you at my wedding. I wanted you to meet Sophia and see how she makes me laugh. I wanted you to celebrate with me, not because of my bank account, but because I'm your daughter and I was happy. Can we start over? Dad asked desperately. How? By pretending the past 9 months didn't happen? By ignoring that you only called when you saw dollar signs? I shook my head. You don't get to skip the hard parts of my life and show up for the profitable parts. I gathered my documents. You have 30 days to find a new place. I recommend starting your search today. The rental market is competitive right now. Elena, please. Mom was fully crying now. We'll do anything. We'll apologize to Sophia. You'll what? Tolerate us? Pretend to accept us while secretly hoping we'll change? I looked at each of them. I don't need your tolerance. I don't need your grudging acceptance. I needed your love, and you proved I couldn't count on it. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Mom? The tamales are cold. Might want to reheat them. But I guess that's fitting. This whole family went cold a long time ago. The drive home was a blur. I cried. Angry tears, hurt tears, relieved tears all mixed together. Sophia met me at the door. How did it go? I told them everything. About the house, the business, the eviction. And they begged me to reconsider. Said they wanted to make amends. I collapsed onto our couch, the one in our mansion that was definitely not for sale. Do you believe them? I believe they're scared of losing their home. I believe they're impressed by my success. I don't believe they've actually changed their minds about who I am. Sophia held me while I cried. What happens now? Now? I sell their house. I build my business. I live my life with you. I looked at her. And maybe someday, if they ever actually accept us, not tolerate, accept, we can talk. But it'll be on my terms. Not when they need something, when they genuinely want to be part of our lives. And if they don't, then I already have everything I need. I kissed her. I have you. I have our home. I have a career I built without them. Their validation would be nice, but I don't need it anymore. 2 weeks later, my mother showed up at my office. No call ahead, no text, just appeared in the lobby and asked to see me. Against my better judgment, I let her come up. I'm not here about the house, she said immediately. I'm here about being your mother. I didn't respond. You were right. About all of it. We didn't skip your wedding because of religion or principle. We skipped it because we were scared. Scared of what people would think. Scared of having to defend you. Scared of our own prejudices being challenged. And now? Now I'm more scared of losing you forever. She pulled out a photo. This is you and Sophia at your wedding. Maria sent it to me. You look so happy, Elena. Happier than I've ever seen you. I looked at the photo. We were both laughing, Sophia's veil caught in the breeze, my hand on her waist. I missed that, Mom continued, her voice breaking. I missed my daughter's happiest day because I was too proud and too scared. And I don't know if you can ever forgive me for that, but I need to try. Why now? Because in 2 weeks I've had to face what we did. Your father and I have been packing our things, looking at apartments we can actually afford. And every box I pack reminds me of what I threw away. Not the house, you, my daughter. The brilliant, strong, successful woman you became without our support. She wiped her eyes. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know that, but I want to try to earn it. Real forgiveness, not the kind you give because we're desperate or scared. The kind you give because I've proven I've changed. I looked at this woman who'd given me life but had almost destroyed it with her conditions. Sophia and I are having dinner Sunday night, I said slowly. 7 p.m. at our house. If you and Dad want to come, really come, to meet her and know us, you're invited. But if you come, you don't get to judge. You don't get to hope we'll change. You accept us as we are, or you don't come at all. We'll be there, she promised. And Elena? I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be the mother you deserved at that wedding. I didn't respond. Only time would tell if she meant it. But for the first time in 9 months, I had a sliver of hope. Maybe some families were worth fighting for after all. The text came through at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Family dinner tonight. 7 p.m. sharp. Important family matter to discuss. Don't be late, Dad. I stared at my phone in the middle of the coffee shop, a half smile playing at my lips. It had been 8 months since I'd heard from any of them. 8 months since my college graduation ceremony, where I'd walked across that stage alone, scanning the audience for faces that never appeared. My older sister Amanda had texted the morning of, "Can't make it. Jackson has a soccer tournament. You understand." My younger brother Kevin didn't even bother with an excuse, just silence. Mom's message came 2 hours before the ceremony. "Your father isn't feeling well. We'll celebrate another time, sweetie." But Dad had been well enough to attend Kevin's community college orientation that same weekend. I'd seen the photos on Facebook. Now, suddenly, there was an important family matter. I knew exactly what had changed. Yesterday morning, the Metro Real Estate Journal had published its annual Rising Stars in Property Development feature. My face was on page 3, standing in front of the building I'd quietly purchased 18 months ago. The headline read, "28-year-old developer transforms historic Riverside building into luxury residences. Penthouse sells for record $2.8 million. The article detailed how I'd bought the neglected 12-story building for $4.2 million, overseen its complete renovation, and sold off 10 luxury condos while keeping the crown jewel penthouse for myself. My company, Meridian Property Group, had just been valued at $47 million. The article went viral in our city's business community. By noon, my phone had exploded with messages from distant relatives, old family friends, and people I barely remembered from high school. And now, Dad wanted dinner. I texted back, "I'll be there." I pulled up to my parents' house at exactly 7 p.m. in my modest Honda Civic. I'd bought a Tesla 6 months ago, but I drove the Civic to family events, old habits. The driveway was packed. Amanda's Range Rover, Kevin's lifted truck, even Uncle Richard's Mercedes. That meant this was bigger than just immediate family. I grabbed my leather portfolio from the passenger seat and walked to the door. It opened before I could knock. "There she is." Dad's voice boomed with artificial warmth. Come in, come in. We've been waiting." The dining room table was set for 8. Mom, Dad, Amanda and her husband Jackson, Kevin and his girlfriend Brittany, and Uncle Richard with Aunt Susan. Everyone turned to look at me as I entered. "Sarah." Mom rushed over, pulling me into a hug that felt rehearsed. "We've missed you so much, honey. You look wonderful." "Do I?" I kept my voice neutral. "Last time we spoke, you said I looked tired and stressed from working too much." Mom's smile flickered. "Well, you look much better now. Sit, sit." Dad gestured to an empty chair. "We have so much to catch up on." I remained standing. "Your text said this was about an important family matter. What's going on?" "Let's eat first," Dad said, but his eyes were sharp, calculating. "Then we'll talk business." "Business," I repeated slowly. Interesting choice of words. Amanda set down her wine glass. "We saw the article, Sarah. Congratulations on your success." The pause before success was deliberate, loaded with something I couldn't quite name. Skepticism? Resentment. "Thank you." $2.8 million for a penthouse. Uncle Richard whistled low. "That's quite an achievement for someone so young. Your father was just telling us about your company." "Was he?" I looked at Dad. "That's fascinating, considering he's never asked me about it." The room went quiet. Kevin broke the silence. "Come on, sis. Don't be dramatic. We're family. We're proud of you." "You're proud now," I said quietly. "Where was that pride 8 months ago?" "Oh, honey." Mom's voice took on that patronizing tone I knew so well. "You're not still upset about graduation, are you?" We explained. "Dad wasn't feeling well," I finished. "Yes, I remember." I also remember the photos from Kevin's orientation that same weekend. Dad looked perfectly healthy. Kevin had the decency to look away. "That's not fair," Amanda cut in. "Jackson's tournament was scheduled months in advance. We couldn't just save it." I cut her off. "Let's skip the part where you all pretend you care and get to why I'm really here." Dad's jovial mask slipped. Fine, you want to talk business? Let's talk business. Richard and I have been discussing an investment opportunity, a development project in the warehouse district. We need $800,000 for our share of the partnership, and you want me to invest. We want to bring you in as a partner, Uncle Richard corrected smoothly. Family working together. Your father and I have 40 years of business experience combined. You have capital. It's a perfect match. I almost laughed. I have capital. That's what I am to you. Capital? Don't twist my words. Dad's voice hardened. We're offering you an opportunity here, a chance to learn from people who actually know what they're doing. People who know what they're doing, I repeated. Tell me, Dad, how much is your company worth right now? His jaw tightened. We've had some rough years. The market. Your company is worth $3.2 million and it's dropping. I looked at the public filings. You've lost money 3 years running. I turned to Uncle Richard. And your commercial real estate firm? You're over-leveraged on 4 properties and 2 are in foreclosure proceedings. Uncle Richard's face flushed red. How dare you? I do my research, I said evenly. It's why my company is valued at $47 million after 3 years, while yours are both failing. This is exactly why we didn't come to your graduation, Amanda snapped. You've always been arrogant, always thought you were smarter than everyone. No, I said softly. I just actually am smarter than you. There's a difference. Jackson stood up. You don't talk to my wife like that. Sit down, Jackson. I didn't even look at him. The adults are talking. That's enough. Dad slammed his hand on the table. I am still your father, and you will show respect in this house. Respect. The word felt sharp in my mouth, like the respect you showed when you skipped the biggest day of my life, or the respect you showed when you told everyone at Christmas 2 years ago that I was playing at business and needed to get a real job. Mom's voice was small. We never said that. Yes, you did. I was standing right outside the kitchen. You also said I'd be crawling back begging for help within a year. The silence that followed was deafening. Well, Kevin tried to joke. You proved us wrong, right? So why are you still mad? I looked at my baby brother, who'd always gotten everything handed to him. Because you don't get to ignore me when I'm struggling and then show up when I succeed. That's not how family works. We're here now, Mom pleaded. Isn't that what matters? No, I said, it isn't. I opened my portfolio and pulled out a folder. Let me tell you what actually matters. 2 years ago, when I started Meridian Property Group, I worked 16-hour days. I lived in a studio apartment with broken heating. I ate ramen for dinner most nights. I placed a document on the table. I called Dad once to ask for business advice. Just advice. Do you remember what you said? Dad said nothing. You said I was wasting my time. That real estate development wasn't for girls who didn't understand the industry. You told me to get a job in marketing or HR. I pulled out another paper. Mom, I invited you to see my first property acquisition, a small duplex in the Old Town District. You said you were too busy with Amanda's baby shower planning. Mom's eyes were glistening, but I wasn't done. Amanda, when I asked if you wanted to grab coffee and hear about my business, you told me you didn't have time for my little hobby. My sister was staring at her plate. And Kevin, when I offered you a paid internship at my company last summer, you laughed and said you'd rather work at Target than at my fake company. I spread the papers across the table, financial statements, property deeds, business valuations. So no, I'm not going to invest $800,000 in your failing warehouse project. I'm not going to be your bailout plan, and I'm not going to pretend that 8 months of silence didn't happen just because you saw my picture in a magazine. Sarah, Dad started. I'm not finished. My voice was steel now. I bought the Riverside building 18 months ago. The article mentioned I kept the penthouse, but it didn't mention that I own the entire building, all 12 floors, 10 luxury condos, and 2 commercial spaces. I pulled out the final document, the property deed. The building is worth $18.7 million now. I have a waiting list of 50 people who want to buy in when I develop the next phase. I looked directly at Dad. I did that. Alone, without your advice, without your experience, without your respect. Uncle Richard's voice was quiet. Sarah, we made mistakes. We can admit that. But we're family. Family forgives. Family shows up, I countered. Family supports each other. Family doesn't disappear when things are hard and reappear when things are profitable. I closed my portfolio. I came here tonight because I wanted to see if any of you would apologize, If any of you would acknowledge what you did. But all I heard was a business pitch and excuses. I turned to leave. Wait, Mom's voice cracked. Please. We're sorry, we really are. We made terrible mistakes, and we want to make it right. I paused at the doorway. For a moment, I wanted to believe her. The little girl inside me, the one who'd waited for her family in that graduation audience, wanted so badly to believe. But then Dad spoke. Your mother's right. We handled things poorly, but this attitude isn't helping anyone. If you just listen to our proposal. And there it was. Even the apology came with a but and a business proposal. Goodbye, I said quietly. As I reached for the door handle, it opened from the outside. A man in a suit stood there, looking confused. I'm sorry, I'm looking for Sarah Mitchell? I'm David Torres from Metro Property Management. Ms. Mitchell asked me to meet her here at 7:30. I smiled. I hadn't actually called David, but the universe had perfect timing. I'm Sarah Mitchell. David's face lit up. Ms. Mitchell. Perfect. I have the documents you requested about the property acquisition. He pulled out a folder. The sellers have accepted your offer on the Riverside Commercial Plaza. Congratulations, you now own the largest retail complex in the Riverside district. Behind me, I heard multiple sharp intakes of breath. The $34 million purchase. David continued, oblivious to the drama. The financing came through perfectly. You'll officially close next week. I took the folder. Thank you, David. I'll review these tonight. Of course. Oh, and the Tribune wants to do a follow-up feature. They're calling you the youngest major commercial developer in the state. He grinned. You're going to be famous. As David left, I turned back to my family one last time. Dad's face was ashen. Amanda's mouth hung open. Kevin looked like he'd been punched. Uncle Richard was frantically calculating numbers on his phone. Mom was crying silently. $34 million? Kevin finally whispered. The Riverside Plaza? Uncle Richard's voice was hoarse. That's the property we wanted for the warehouse project. The anchor property. Without it, our whole development plan falls apart. I tilted my head. Does it? That's unfortunate. You bought it out from under us? Dad's voice shook with rage, or shock. I couldn't tell which. You knew we needed that property. I didn't know anything, I said calmly. You never told me about your warehouse project until tonight. I've been negotiating for the plaza for 4 months. It's not my fault you were too slow. The truth was I had known about their project. Real estate is a small world, and I make it my business to know everything happening in my city. I'd also known the plaza was their linchpin property, and I'd outbid them by $2 million. This is revenge, Amanda said flatly. You're punishing us. No, I said. I'm doing business. You taught me that family and business should be separate, remember? Dad said that to me when I asked for advice. Don't mix family and business, Sarah. It never works out. I opened the door and said, enjoy your dinner. I have work to do. Sarah, wait. Mom started. Oh, and Mom? I paused. That studio apartment I mentioned, the one with broken heating where I ate ramen? I bought the entire building last year. It's worth $6.2 million now. I fixed the heating. You should see it sometime. I walked to my car, my hands steady, my heart racing. Behind me, I heard shouting, Dad's angry voice, Amanda crying, Uncle Richard on the phone, probably calling his business partners with the bad news. As I pulled out of the driveway, my phone buzzed. Kevin, that was messed up. I deleted it. Amanda, you've changed. Money has made you cruel. Delete. Then one more message from Mom. I'm sorry we weren't there for your graduation. I'm sorry for everything. You deserve better from us. I sat in my car, staring at those words. The apology I'd wanted 8 months ago, the acknowledgement I craved, but it had come too late and for the wrong reasons. I typed back, thank you, but sorry isn't enough anymore. If you want to be part of my life, you'll have to earn it, just like I had to earn everything else. Then I drove away from my childhood home toward my $2.8 million penthouse, with floor-to-ceiling windows and city views that stretched for miles. I'd built an empire while they weren't watching, and now they'd have to live with the consequences of their absence. The girl who walked across that graduation stage alone had become a woman who didn't need their validation anymore. She just needed them to finally see her. And now, finally, they did. The text came at 6:43 p.m. on a Thursday. Family meeting, 8 p.m. tonight. Everyone needs to be there. This is urgent. Dad. I stared at my phone, a cold smile forming. Urgent. How interesting. It had been 14 months since my wedding, 14 months since every member of my family had declined my invitation. My sister Rachel's text. Sorry, can't make it. Your backyard wedding isn't really our scene. My brother Marcus. Not worth the drive for a basic ceremony. Mom's email. A casual outdoor wedding just isn't special enough for the family to attend. Dad never responded at all. My wedding had been beautiful. 50 guests in gardens my family thought I'd rented. White roses everywhere. String lights in ancient oak trees. Daniel and I exchanged vows at sunset while our friends cried. Not one blood relative showed up. Now, suddenly, an urgent meeting. I knew exactly why. That morning, the Lifestyle Channel had featured my 12-acre lakefront estate on their most spectacular estates episode. They revealed its $5.5 million value, interviewed me about purchasing it as a distressed property for $1.8 million 3 years ago, and filmed every restored room. They'd also shown footage from my wedding in those same gardens. The segment went viral. By noon, my phone had exploded with messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. I texted back, "I'll be there." I pulled up at 7:58 p.m. in my Range Rover. The driveway looked like a luxury car show. Rachel's Mercedes, Marcus's BMW, even Aunt Linda's Lexus. I grabbed my leather briefcase and walked to the door. "Victoria." Mom's voice dripped honey as she opened it. "You're here. Everyone's waiting." The living room was packed. Mom, Dad, Rachel and her husband Brad, Marcus and his fiancée Jennifer, Aunt Linda, Uncle George, and cousin Stephanie, all staring at me. "There's our TV star," Aunt Linda gushed. "That estate is breathtaking." I didn't move. "Last year you said I wasted money on an old house in the middle of nowhere." Her smile flickered. "Sit down, Victoria." Dad's voice was commanding. "We need to talk." "I'll stand." I set my briefcase on the coffee table. "Your text said this was urgent." "What's going on?" "We saw the show," Marcus said. "The estate looks incredible." "Thank you." $5.5 million, Dad said slowly. "That's quite an investment for someone living beyond their means." I remembered that conversation, 2 months before my wedding, when he lectured me about fiscal responsibility and poor life choices. Mom leaned forward. "Honey, we're worried. Surely you're heavily mortgaged? The debt must be crushing." "Why would you assume I have debt?" Uncle George scoffed. "Nobody your age owns something like that outright. You're over-leveraged, aren't you? That's why you had that small wedding." I almost laughed. "Is that what you think?" "It's obvious," Rachel said gently. "We're not here to judge. We want to help. Brad and I think you should sell before the market turns." How generous. Brad added, "I know an agent who could list it next week." I opened my briefcase slowly. "Before we continue, let me ask something. Why didn't any of you come to my wedding?" Silence. "I sent invitations 6 months early, called each of you personally, and every single one of you had an excuse for why my wedding wasn't worth attending." "That's not fair," Rachel protested. "We explained that a backyard wedding wasn't special enough." I finished. "Not a real celebration. Too basic." I looked at each of them. "What changed between then and now?" Marcus shifted. "Come on, we didn't know." "Didn't know what?" "That the rented cottage was my estate. That the basic backyard wedding took place in gardens featured in 3 national magazines? You never told us." Rachel's voice rose. "I invited you to see it. Multiple times. Mom was too busy." Rachel said it was too far to drive. Marcus never responded. Dad's jaw tightened. "We're not here to discuss the past. This is about helping with your financial situation." My financial situation. I placed a document on the table, the property deed. "This is fully paid off. No mortgage. I own it outright." Uncle George grabbed it, his face going pale. "You really? Free and clear?" "Really." I placed down another paper. "Last month's appraisal. The estate is now worth $6.2 million. It appreciated $700,000 since the show aired." Mom's hands shook. "How did you afford this?" "I worked for it." I pulled out more documents. "This is my company, North Star Property Development, Historic Restoration and Luxury Estate Management." Marcus leaned forward. "Your company is worth." This says $23 million. $24.7 million as of this quarter. Stunned silence. "My basic wedding you all skipped?" It cost $180,000. The flowers were $15,000. Michelin-starred chef. String quartet from Carnegie Hall. Rachel went white. But you said it was casual. Casual meant intimate. 50 guests. No stuffy ballroom. I smiled coldly. But definitely not cheap. And absolutely not basic. Why didn't you tell us? Mom whispered. I did. I said I was restoring a historic estate. You called it an old dump. I said I was building a business. Dad said I was playing entrepreneur. I invited you to my wedding at my estate. You said it wasn't special enough. I pulled out my phone and showed a photo, me in my Vera Wang dress, standing before the estate fountain with Daniel. Golden hour light. Cascading white roses. Symphony gasped. That's your wedding? The basic ceremony you skipped. I swiped through more photos. Crystal chandeliers. 7-tier cake. Vintage Rolls Royce. I didn't hide anything. I told you what I was doing. You chose not to believe me. You decided my wedding wasn't worth attending because it wasn't in some pretentious country club. Dad's voice was tight. If we had known, you would have come. I laughed bitterly. That's the problem. You'd have come if you knew it was expensive and impressive, but not because it mattered to me. That's not true, Mom protested weakly. No. Remember Marcus's engagement party? Hampton Inn conference room with grocery store cake. Marcus flushed. I flew in from Seattle, brought a $500 gift, stayed until the end. I looked at my brother. Your party cost maybe $2,000, but I was there because you're my brother. That's different, Marcus muttered. How? How is it different? It was my engagement, and mine was my actual wedding. My voice rose. But you couldn't drive 2 hours because it wasn't worth it. Rachel stood. This isn't fair. For what? For skipping my wedding? You should feel guilty. We didn't know you were successful. Because I'm your sister, you're supposed to support me even when you don't understand. I was shouting now. When someone you love invites you to their wedding, you show up. You don't analyze if it's fancy enough. Complete silence. I took a breath. You're right, you didn't know. Because you never asked. I pulled out more documents, spreading them like cards. Riverside property downtown, $3.8 million. Another. Willow Creek Manor, $2.1 million. Another. Hartley Building, $4.2 million. Another. Riverside Inn, $1.9 million. I kept going. Garden District Properties, $6.7 million. Lakefront Cottages, $2.3 million. Victorian Mansion, $3.4 million. Uncle George frantically calculated. That's over $25 million, $28.9 million actually. I placed the final document. Portfolio statement for Northstar. Total assets, $52.3 million. Net worth, $44.2 million. Absolute silence. Jennifer whispered, $44 million? My company is. Personally, I'm worth about $31 million. I said it like discussing the weather. Not bad for someone who plays entrepreneur, right, Dad? Dad looked struck. Next month, Forbes features me on their cover. Young entrepreneurs in historic preservation. I snapped my briefcase shut. So why are we here? You saw me on TV, realize I'm not the failure you assumed, and now you want in. That's not. Mom started. Don't lie. My voice was ice. Dad, what's the real reason? He deflated. The business is struggling. We need investors. When we saw the show. How much? $500,000, Uncle George said quietly, for dealership expansion. And you thought I'd just write a check after you skipped my wedding? We made a mistake, Rachel said. We're sorry, but we're family. Family helps each other. I stared at her sincere face. But sincerity after seeing someone on TV wasn't the same as sincerity when that person needed you. You know what Daniel and I did on our wedding night? We walked the gardens at midnight, and he held me while I cried because my family couldn't show up for the most important day of my life. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Daniel's family was there. All of them. From 6 different states. His 87-year-old grandmother with her walker was there. Because that's what family does. I picked up my briefcase. You want to know what else? They didn't ask how much it cost. They didn't analyze if it was special enough. They just showed up. Victoria, please. Dad stood. The $500,000 you need? That's less than I spent on my wedding. The wedding you skipped. I let it sink in. I could write that check right now. Hope flared in their eyes. But I won't. Hope died. Because you don't help family. You help family when it's convenient, when it benefits you. I opened the door. I learned that 14 months ago at my reception, staring at the empty table where you were supposed to be. Please, Mom's voice broke. We're sorry. You're sorry now. But not when you RSVP'd no. Not when I called Mom crying the night before. Not for 14 months of silence. I pulled up a photo on my phone and placed it on the table. The empty table for my wedding. 8 empty chairs. A card reading family. Untouched place settings. I set this up with Hope. Hope you'd surprise me. Daniel wanted to remove it so I wouldn't be hurt, but I insisted. Mom cried openly now. Every guest saw that empty table. Do you know how humiliating that was? I picked up my phone, but Daniel's family moved over to sit in those empty chairs. By night's end, that table was full of people who chose to love me. That's beautiful, Stephanie whispered. It taught me something. Family isn't blood. It's showing up when it matters. Victoria, Dad's voice was desperate. The business will fail. Is that what you want? I stopped at the door. You know what I wanted? My family at my wedding. Mom helping pick my dress. Dad walking me down the aisle. Rachel as maid of honor. Marcus giving an embarrassing toast. I looked back. I wanted what Daniel's family gave without question. So no, I don't want the business to fail. But I won't be the ATM you remember only when you need money. It's not like that. If that show never aired, would we be having this conversation? Silence. That's what I thought. I left as chaos erupted behind me. My phone buzzed. Daniel, how did it go? Exactly as expected. Coming home, making your favorite dinner. I love you. I love you too. As I drove away, texts flooded in. Rachel, please reconsider. Marcus, can we talk? Mom, you're breaking my heart. Dad, money has made you cruel. I typed back to Dad. No, money just made you notice me. That's not the same thing. Then I blocked them all and drove to my estate, my beautiful paid-off $6.2 million estate with memories of a perfect wedding. Daniel stood on the front steps, backlit by warm light. How was it? He asked. Educational. He hugged me. I'm proud of you for knowing your worth. Inside smelled like home and fresh flowers. Our dog, Maisie, bounded over. Wedding photos covered the walls, showing the truth about that magical day. One final text came from an unknown number. Victoria, this is Aunt Linda. Some of us really do want to make amends, not for money, just because we miss you. I saved her number. Prove it. Show up. Not because of what I have, but who I am. When's your next Sunday dinner? This Sunday, 6 p.m. Come alone. I'll be there. That Sunday, Aunt Linda came with flowers and homemade pie. No money requests. Just real conversation and genuine apologies. It was a start. The rest? I haven't spoken to them since. My company just closed a $12 million hotel renovation. Forbes published a feature. Daniel and I are celebrating our 2nd anniversary in Italy. And I haven't missed them once. Because I learned from that empty wedding table. The people who show up when it doesn't benefit them, those are your real family. Everyone else is just related by blood. And blood is thinner than I thought. I was at my desk reviewing quarterly reports when the Instagram notification popped up. My mother had tagged me in a post. That should have been my first warning. I opened it to find a carousel of photos. My sister Victoria in a designer dress, surrounded by balloons and champagne, standing in our family's mansion, the same mansion where I'd grown up, where we'd celebrated every birthday, every achievement, every milestone. Except mine, not for the past 5 years. The caption made my chest tighten. Celebrating my CESFEL daughter's promotion to senior VP, only real achievements deserve parties. Some people build careers, others just play pretend. Proud mom, real success, note every omni can win. Today was my 30th birthday. My sister's promotion had happened 3 weeks ago, but mom had deliberately scheduled this party for today, for my birthday, and made sure to tag me so I wouldn't miss it. I scrolled through the photos. My father, smiling proudly at Victoria. My aunts and uncles, all dressed up. Extended family I hadn't heard from in months. Even my grandmother was there, the woman who'd once told me I was her special girl before I disappointed everyone. The comments were already rolling in. Such a beautiful celebration. Victoria is so accomplished. Some daughters make you proud. Congratulations. This is what success looks like. And then, from my cousin Jennifer. Happy birthday, Melissa. Hope you're having a good day. Followed immediately by my mother's reply. Today is about Victoria's achievements, not birthdays. Let's focus on what matters. I sat back in my ergonomic office chair, the one I'd bought myself for my corner office on the 42nd floor, and laughed. Actually laughed. My assistant knocked on the glass wall. Ms. Chen, your 2 p.m. is here. Give me 5 minutes, please, Amanda. I opened my email and pulled up 3 specific contacts. Property manager. Legal at Skyliner Real Estate. Accounting at. My fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. Subject. Immediate action required. Property access termination. Dear team, effective immediately, please terminate all access privileges for the following individuals at 847 Riverside Drive, the family mansion property. Patricia Chen, current resident. Michael Chen, current resident. Victoria Chen, frequent visitor. Please change all door codes, deactivate key cards, and update the security system by 11:59 p.m. today. New access codes should be sent only to me. Additionally, please prepare a formal 30-day notice to vacate for Patricia and Michael Chen. The lease agreement was month-to-month per original terms from 2019. This is not a request for discussion. This is a directive from the property owner. Best regards, Melissa Chen, owner, Skyline Properties LLC. I had sent on all 3 emails, then called my property lawyer directly. David, it's Melissa. I need you to do something for me tonight. Let me back up. 5 years ago, I left my family's luxury real estate business, Shen Dynasty Properties, founded by my grandfather, run by my father, where Victoria now worked as senior VP. I left because I was tired of being invisible. Tired of my ideas being dismissed. Tired of my father saying real estate is for serious people, while handing Victoria the projects I designed. So I started my own company, Skyline Properties. I started small, a single apartment building I bought with money I'd saved and a loan I qualified for on my own merit. Then I bought another building, and another. I did it quietly, using an LLC, operating under the radar while my family mocked my cute little venture. My mother loved telling people I'd given up on the family business to play entrepreneur. Victoria would laugh about my starter properties at family dinners. What they didn't know, what I'd never told them, was that over 5 years I'd built an empire. 42 properties across the city, commercial buildings, luxury apartments, mixed-use developments. My portfolio was worth $380 million, including the mansion they were currently partying in. See, 3 years ago, my parents made a catastrophic business decision. They over-leveraged on a development deal, and when the market shifted, they were facing foreclosure on everything, including the family mansion that had been in our family for 60 years. My father was too proud to tell anyone how bad things were, but I have friends in banking, I heard. So I made an offer through my LLC. I bought the mansion, the one with my childhood bedroom, my memories, my history, for $8.5 million. Below market value because they were desperate, but enough to save them from complete financial ruin. I never told them I was the buyer. The paperwork went through the LLC. I had my property management company handle everything. I let them believe some investment group had bought it and was generously letting them rent it for below market rates. My mother bragged to her friends about the wonderful deal they'd gotten. She had no idea she was paying rent to the daughter she constantly belittled. By 3 p.m., my property manager had confirmed. All access codes changed. Security system updated. Keys deactivated. 30-day notices will be delivered by courier at 6 p.m. By 6:30 p.m., my phone started ringing. First my father. I let it go to voicemail. Then my mother, 3 calls in a row. Then Victoria. Then my father again. Finally, at 7:15 p.m., I answered my mother's 5th call. Melissa. Her voice was shrill with panic and rage. What did you do? Happy birthday to me, I said calmly. Our keys don't work. The security system locked us out. There are strangers delivering EVACTIO and NOTICES. Not eviction notices, Mom. Those take a court order. Just 30-day notices to vacate. Very different legally. What are you TFKing about? I'm talking about the fact that I own 847 Riverside Drive. I have for 3 years. You've been paying me rent this whole time. The line went silent. That's not possible, she finally whispered. Skyline Properties LLC, check your lease agreement. Check your rental payment records. It's all there. You've been signing checks to my company for 36 months. You bought our home? I bought the home you were about to lose to foreclosure, yes. I saved you from financial ruin, and I charged you below market rent out of misplaced family loyalty. You're welcome, by the way. This is THEFT. No, it's capitalism. You know, that thing you're always celebrating Victoria for being so good at? I kept my voice pleasant. I saw an investment opportunity. I took it. Isn't that what you taught us? Business is business. Melissa, please. My father's voice came on the line. He must have grabbed the phone. Let's talk about this calmly. This is clearly a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding, Dad. I'm the owner. You're the tenants. And your lease is being terminated. On what grounds? His voice shifted to the authoritative tone he used in negotiations. We've paid every month on time. We've maintained the property. You can't just terminate without cause. Actually, I can. Your lease is month to month, which means either party can terminate with 30 days notice for any reason. That's what you signed. I have the contract in front of me right now. Why are you doing this? Victoria's voice, tearful, shocked. What did we do? You really don't know? I asked. You threw a party at a house you don't own on my birthday and posted about how I'm a failure who doesn't deserve to be celebrated. You did it deliberately. You wanted to hurt me. It was just social media. It was public humiliation, I corrected. It was years of dismissing me, mocking me, excluding me, treating me like I was worthless because I chose my own path. And today, on my 30th birthday, you decided to make sure everyone knew exactly how little you think of me. We didn't mean, Victoria started. Yes, you did. You meant every word, and now you get to experience the consequences. Please, my mother's voice again, desperate now. Where are we supposed to go? This is our home. It's my home. You just live there, or rather, you live there. Past tense. I paused. You have 30 days to find somewhere else. I suggest you start looking. Melissa, be reasonable. My father tried. I am being reasonable. I'm giving you 30 days, which is more than the law requires, and I'm not suing you for the damage Victoria's party caused to the hardwood floors in the ballroom. You're getting off easy. What do you want? My mother asked, her voice breaking. Money? We'll pay you more rent. I don't want your money. I have plenty of my own. I looked at the Instagram post still open on my screen. I want you to understand something. You spent 5 years treating me like a failure, like I was nothing because I wasn't part of your company. But I built something bigger than you ever gave me credit for. I own 42 properties in this city, including the mansion you were just partying in. My company is worth more than Dad's entire current portfolio. Silence. I did it without your help, I continued. Without your approval, without your validation. I did it because I'm good at what I do, whether you acknowledge it or not. You really own all that? My father's voice was stunned. Check the records if you don't believe me. Skyline Properties LLC. It's all public information if you know where to look. But you never looked, did you? Because you were too busy dismissing me to actually see what I was building. Why didn't you tell us? Victoria asked quietly. Because I wanted to see who you really were when you thought I was powerless. And you showed me. Today, on my birthday, you showed me exactly who you are. They tried to fight it, of course. My father's lawyers reviewed the lease and confirmed what I'd already told him. Month-to-month tenancy, legal 30-day notice, no grounds to contest. My mother tried the emotional route, calling my grandmother to intervene. But Grandma surprised everyone by saying, maybe you should have been nicer to Melissa all these years. Victoria tried to appeal to sisterly bonds. She showed up at my office building. Security called me before letting her up. Please, she said when I finally agreed to see her in the lobby. This is destroying our family. No, Victoria, you destroyed it years ago. This is just the consequence. I'm sorry about the post. I'll delete it. It has 847 likes and 203 comments. Deleting it now doesn't erase what you said. What do you want me to do? Her perfect makeup was streaked with tears. I said I'm sorry. I don't want anything from you, I said honestly. I don't want revenge. I don't want to reconcile. I don't want to be invited to family dinners where everyone pretends this didn't happen. I just want you to leave me alone. We're family. Family respects each other. Family celebrates each other's successes, not just their own. Family doesn't post public humiliation on someone's birthday. I stood up. You're not my family anymore. You're just tenants who need to find a new place to live. What are you going to do with the house? That's none of your business. 28 days later, my parents moved into a luxury apartment downtown. Smaller than the mansion, but still impressive. They weren't destitute, just humbled. Victoria helped them move. She'd been quiet on social media since deleting the birthday post. On day 30, I visited the mansion for the first time since I bought it. It was strange walking through rooms I'd grown up in, seeing them empty of my family's belongings. My childhood bedroom. The library where Dad had taught me about real estate. The kitchen where Mom had hosted hundreds of dinner parties. All empty now, just mine. I stood in the ballroom where Victoria's party had been. There were still faint scuff marks on the floor where they'd moved furniture. My property manager appeared in the doorway. Ms. Chen, what do you want to do with the space? I thought about it. I could sell it, turn a huge profit. I could rent it again to someone else. I could move in myself, finally claim my childhood home. Instead, I pulled out my phone and called the director of the youth entrepreneurship nonprofit I volunteered with. Hi, Janet. It's Melissa. I have a property I'd like to donate for your business incubator program. 6 months later, the Chen family mansion, renamed the Skyline Innovation Center, opened its doors to young entrepreneurs from underprivileged backgrounds. Free workspace, mentorship, resources. Everything I'd wished I'd had when I started my company. The press coverage was extensive. Local real estate mogul transforms family estate into youth business hub. My mother called after seeing the news. You turned our home into a charity? Her voice was thick with emotion. I turned my property into something useful, I corrected. I saw your interview. You talked about building businesses without family support, about proving yourself. She paused. Were you talking about us? What do you think? A long silence. Then, I think I've been a terrible mother. I wasn't expecting that. I think, she continued, her voice breaking, I was so focused on the daughter who followed the plan that I couldn't see the daughter who was brave enough to make her own path. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Melissa. I closed my eyes, years of hurt and anger warring with the faint hope that maybe finally she understood. I'm sorry too, I said quietly. I'm sorry I had to go to these lengths to make you see me. Can we try again? To be a family? I don't know, Mom. That's going to take time. I understand, she paused. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I should have said it years ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm proud of everything you've built. Thank you, I whispered. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was a start. My 31st birthday was different. I threw my own party at a rooftop restaurant I owned. Invited my real friends, my business partners, my mentors. People who supported me, believed in me, celebrated my successes. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was a photo, Victoria, standing in front of a modest office building with a sign that read, Victoria Chen, independent real estate consultant. The message said, I left Dad's company, starting my own firm. No family money, no connections, just me. I figured if my sister could do it, maybe I could too. Happy birthday, Melissa. I hope it's everything you deserve. I stared at the photo for a long time. Then I replied, good luck. It's harder than it looks, but worth it. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Maybe we could get coffee sometime. No family, no drama. Just sisters who both know what it's like to build something from nothing. I looked around at my party, at the life I built, at the person I'd become, not despite my family's rejection, but maybe because of it. Maybe, I typed back, let's start there. Because here's what I learned. You can't force people to value you. You can't make them see your worth. You can only build a life so undeniable that they eventually have no choice but to acknowledge it. And sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't destruction. It's success so complete, so visible, so impossible to ignore that it transforms everything, including, eventually, the people who doubted you. My mother was right about one thing in that Instagram post. Only real achievements deserve parties. And I'd achieved something real. I'd achieved it without them, despite them, and ultimately, for myself. And that made all the difference. I was sitting in my downtown apartment, eating leftover Thai food when the notification came through. My mother had posted on Facebook. Again, she posted constantly. Photos of elaborate dinners, vacation updates, and of course, endless tributes to my sister Amanda. But this one made me put down my chopsticks. The photo showed our family estate, the sprawling Victorian mansion where I'd grown up, decorated with hundreds of white and gold balloons. The caption read, "Surprise party for our Amanda, 27 and thriving. Celebrating the only birthday worth remembering. Proud parents, perfect daughters, some children make it all worthwhile." Today was October 14th. My birthday. I'm 29 today, not that anyone in my family had acknowledged it. I scrolled through the photos, Amanda in a designer dress, looking shocked and delighted. My father popping champagne. Extended family I hadn't heard from in months, all dressed up and celebrating. The dining room table was laden with catering from that expensive restaurant downtown. My phone buzzed. A text from my childhood best friend Sophie. "Did your parents seriously throw Amanda a party on your birthday?" I didn't respond. I just sat there, staring at the photos, feeling something cold and final settle in my chest. This wasn't new. My parents had always favored Amanda, the beautiful one, the charming one, the daughter who'd become a pediatric surgeon, like our father wanted. Meanwhile, I was the difficult one, the one who'd majored in business instead of medicine, who'd chosen commercial real estate over saving lives. But throwing Amanda a surprise party on my actual birthday, that was a new level of cruelty. My phone rang. "Sophie." "Don't answer it if you're crying," she said when I picked up. "I'm not crying." My voice was flat. "I'm done crying over them." "Grace, this is insane even for your family." "I know. Are you okay?" I looked around my modest one-bedroom apartment, the place I'd rented after my parents made it clear I wasn't welcome to stay at the estate indefinitely like some people. The apartment I'd furnished with IKEA and Craigslist finds, while Amanda lived rent-free in the guest house on the property. "I'm fine," I said. "Actually, I'm better than fine. I just remembered something." "What?" "I need to make a phone call. I'll talk to you tomorrow." I hung up and opened my laptop. It took me 20 minutes to find what I was looking for, a folder I'd saved 5 years ago and hadn't thought about since. Until now. Let me explain something about the Wellington estate, the family mansion my parents were currently filling with balloons and champagne. My grandfather, my mother's father, had built the house in 1952. He'd been a real estate developer, brilliant and eccentric, who'd made a fortune in post-war construction. He'd loved that house, and he'd loved me. I was his favorite. Not Amanda with her perfect grades and surgical aspirations, me. The granddaughter who'd sit with him in his study, listening to stories about property deals and investment strategies while Amanda was at piano lessons or debate team. When Grandpa died 7 years ago, everyone assumed he'd left the estate to my mother, his only child. And he had, sort of. I'd been at the will reading. I was 22, fresh out of college. My mother had inherited the house, but with specific conditions buried in the legal language that most people skimmed over. The estate was held in a trust. My mother had life estate rights, meaning she could live there and manage it, but she didn't own it outright. And the trust had a reversion clause. If certain conditions were met, full ownership would transfer to the granddaughter who pursued his legacy. At the time, everyone assumed that meant whoever went into real estate or business, but the language was deliberately vague. Grandpa's lawyer, who'd helped draft it, had pulled me aside after the reading. "Your grandfather wanted you to have options, Grace," he'd said quietly. "This trust is designed to protect his legacy, but also to ensure the estate goes to someone who truly values it. The activation clause is simple but specific. When you're ready, you'll know what to do." He'd handed me a sealed envelope. Inside were instructions and the contact information for the trust administrator. I'd filed it away, not really understanding what it meant. I'd been too young, too uncertain about my own path. But 5 years in commercial real estate had taught me to read between the lines of legal documents. And now, sitting in my apartment on my forgotten birthday, I finally understood what Grandpa had done. I pulled up the trust documents on my laptop. The language was dense, but the key clause was on page 47. Upon the primary beneficiary's demonstration of neglect toward family legacy and values, as evidenced by documented exclusion or material harm to a direct descendant pursuing the grantor's business interests, the successor beneficiary may petition the trust administrator for immediate transfer of full ownership rights. Translation: If my mother demonstrated she didn't value family or grandpa's legacy, particularly toward a grandchild working in his field, I could claim the house. I'd need documentation, evidence, proof of systematic exclusion. I opened Facebook and started taking screenshots. Not just today's post, but years of them. Amanda's graduation party at the estate. Amanda's engagement party. Amanda's birthday celebrations, including 3 previous birthdays celebrated on or near my own birthday. Posts praising Amanda. Posts where I was cropped out of family photos or not mentioned at all. Comments from my mother about how some children make you proud and not everyone lives up to their potential. Then I pulled up my email and found messages from my father, including one from 3 years ago. Grace, your mother and I feel it's time you found your own place. Amanda needs the guest house for her residency, and frankly, your presence is creating tension. We'd appreciate it if you could move out by the end of the month. I'd moved out in 2 weeks. Amanda had hosted a housewarming party in her new space the following weekend. I had bank statements showing Amanda's rent, $0. Mine, $1,850 per month. I had text messages, voicemails, a paper trail of 5 years of being excluded, dismissed, and erased. And I had one more thing, my business portfolio. 5 years in commercial real estate hadn't just been a job. I'd been learning, saving, investing. I now owned 3 small apartment buildings and had a growing property management company. I was doing exactly what Grandpa had done, building something from the ground up. I was pursuing his legacy. Amanda was pursuing medicine, which was admirable, but had nothing to do with Grandpa's life's work. I called the number from the envelope. It was 9 p.m., but the lawyer, Mr. Theodore Shen, had told me he was available anytime, day or night, when you're ready. He answered on the second ring. Ms. Wellington, I wondered when I'd hear from you. You knew I'd call. Your grandfather was certain you would. Eventually, I heard papers rustling. I've been maintaining the trust documentation. I assume you're calling about the reversion clause? Yes, I have evidence. I'm sure you do. Your grandfather anticipated this might happen. He knew his daughter well. Mr. Chen's voice was gentle but professional. Email me everything you have. I'll need 48 hours to review and prepare the paperwork. If everything is in order, I can file the petition by Friday. And then the trust administrator, that's me, reviews the evidence against the terms of the trust. If I determine the conditions have been met, ownership transfers to you immediately. Your mother will have 30 days to vacate if she chooses not to remain as your tenant. My heart was pounding. This is really happening. Only if you want it to happen, Grace. Your grandfather gave you this option, but he didn't mandate it. You can walk away from this call and nothing changes. I looked at the Facebook photos still open on my screen, the party my parents were throwing for Amanda on my birthday. The caption about the only birthday worth remembering. I'm not walking away, I said. I'm sending you the documentation now. It took me 3 hours to compile everything: photos, emails, text messages, bank statements, social media posts. I organized it chronologically, showing a clear pattern of exclusion and favoritism. I also included my business documentation, my LLC papers, property deeds, financial statements proving I was successfully pursuing real estate development, just like Grandpa had. I sent it all to Mr. Chen at 12:47 a.m. His response came at 1:03 a.m. Received. This is more than sufficient. I'll have the petition ready by Thursday afternoon. Congratulations, Grace. Your grandfather would be very proud. I closed my laptop and sat in the dark, listening to the city sounds outside my window. Tomorrow, my life would change. But tonight, I was still just the forgotten daughter eating cold pad thai on her birthday. Mr. Chen filed the petition on Thursday at 4 p.m. By law, my mother had to be notified within 24 hours. The call came Friday morning at 10:15 a.m. I was at a property inspection when my phone lit up with Mom on the caller ID. I let it ring. She called again and again, 12 times in 20 minutes. Then my father called, then Amanda. I was in a meeting when the texts started coming through. Mom, what have you do any? Mom, call me immediately. Mom, this is illegal. Our lawyer says you're trying to steal our home. Dad, Grace, we need to talk about this misunderstanding. Amanda, please tell me you're not really doing this to our parents. I finished my meeting, walked to my car, and finally called back. My mother answered before the first ring finished. How dare you? I filed a legal petition to claim my inheritance, I said calmly. The one Grandpa set up specifically for this situation. That house is mine. No, Mom. That house was Grandpa's. He left it in trust with specific conditions. You violated those conditions for 5 years. Now the house goes to who he really intended to have it. This is about the party, isn't it? Her voice shifted to that wounded tone she used when she wanted sympathy. Grace, we were just celebrating Amanda. On my birthday, I interrupted. You threw my sister a surprise party on my 29th birthday and posted that hers was the only birthday worth remembering. That wasn't just celebrating Amanda, Mom. That was erasing me. You're being oversensitive. I have 5 years of documentation that says otherwise. Every birthday you forgot. Every achievement you dismissed. Every time you chose Amanda over me, excluded me from family events, crocked me out of photos. I have it all. Silence. Why are you doing this? She finally asked, and she sounded genuinely confused. We gave you everything. You gave me nothing, I said quietly. You gave everything to Amanda, the guest house, the parties, the praise, the pride. You gave me criticism and rejection and a clear message that I wasn't good enough to be part of this family. That's not true. Then why have you never once visited my apartment? Why have you never asked about my business? Why don't you know that I own 3 buildings now, that I'm doing exactly what Grandpa did, that I'm successful in my own right? My voice cracked. Why did you throw Amanda a party on my birthday and not even send me a text? The line was silent for so long I thought she'd hung up. I didn't realize, she finally whispered. No, you didn't, because you never looked. You were too busy celebrating Amanda to see that I was building something too, something Grandpa would have been proud of. Grace, please, the house is our home. It's my home now, or it will be, once the trust transfer is complete. Mr. Chen says the evidence is conclusive. We'll fight this. You can try, but Grandpa was very smart, and his lawyers were very thorough. The trust is ironclad. You violated the terms. I meet the conditions for succession. It's over, Mom. Where are we supposed to go? Her voice was small now, frightened. I honestly don't know, but you have 30 days to figure it out, assuming you don't want to stay on as tenants. I paused. Maybe Amanda's guest house is available. I hung up. The legal process took 3 weeks. My mother's lawyers reviewed the trust documents and advised her not to contest it. The language was clear, and my documentation was overwhelming. On November 4th, I received the final paperwork. The Wellington estate was officially mine. My parents moved out by Thanksgiving. They bought a luxury condo downtown, smaller than the estate but still comfortable. My father was still a successful surgeon. They weren't destitute, just humbled. Amanda helped them move. She sent me one text during the process. I hope this was worth destroying our family. I didn't respond. The first time I walked through the estate as its owner, I was alone. I wandered through rooms filled with memories, some good, most complicated. My childhood bedroom, unchanged since I'd moved out. The study where Grandpa had taught me about property values and investment strategies. The dining room where I'd sat through hundreds of dinners feeling invisible. I ended up in Grandpa's old study. His books were still on the shelves. My mother had kept the room exactly as he left it, like a shrine. There was an envelope on the desk with my name on it in Grandpa's handwriting. I picked it up with shaking hands and opened it. My dearest Grace, if you're reading this, you've claimed your inheritance. I'm proud of you, not for taking the house, but for building something worth protecting. I knew your mother would favor Amanda. That's who she is. She values traditional success, conventional paths. She doesn't understand the courage it takes to build something from nothing, but you understand. You always did. Even as a little girl, you asked better questions than most adults. You saw possibilities where others saw limitations. This house isn't just a building, it's a legacy. It represents risk and reward, vision and execution. I built it with my own hands and my own mind, and I want it to belong to someone who understands that kind of creation. Your mother will be hurt. Amanda will be angry. That's unfortunate, but it's not your responsibility to sacrifice your inheritance to soothe their feelings. You deserve this, Grace. Not because you're my granddaughter, but because you earned it by becoming someone I'm proud to call my successor. Build something amazing, and remember, family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up, who sees you, who values what you bring to the world. I always saw you. All my love, Grandpa. I sat in his chair and cried for 20 minutes. 6 months later, I hosted my 30th birthday party at the Wellington estate. Not a fancy catered affair like Amanda's, just close friends, selfie, and colleagues from work. People who'd supported me, believed in me, shown up for me over the years. We ate pizza on the back patio and drank wine from Grandpa's cellar. Someone brought a karaoke machine. It was chaotic and perfect. My phone buzzed around 9 p.m., a text from Amanda. I saw Sophie's Instagram story. The house looks beautiful. Happy birthday, Grace. I stared at it for a long time, then typed back. Thank you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't realize how bad it was. How they treated you. I know. Can we talk sometime? Just us. I looked around at my party, at my home, at the life I built despite everything. Maybe, I typed, when I'm ready. Because here's what I learned. You can't force people to value you. You can't make them see your worth. You can only build a life so undeniable that eventually, even those who dismissed you have to acknowledge what you've become. My mother still hasn't spoken to me. She sends Christmas cards to the condo address, never mentioning the estate or what happened. My father tried to apologize once, but it was half-hearted, more about his own guilt than my pain. But Amanda and I have coffee sometimes now. It's awkward, but it's real. She's trying to understand how she benefited from a system that excluded me. I'm trying to forgive her for not noticing sooner. It's not perfect, but it's honest. And the Wellington estate, it's mine, all mine. I'm converting part of it into office space for my growing property management company. The guest house, Amanda's old space, is now home to a rotating program for young women starting businesses in real estate. Grandpa's legacy, but expanded. On my birthday this year, I posted a photo of the estate with a simple caption. Celebrating 30 years and new beginnings. Some birthdays are worth remembering after all. My mother didn't like or comment. But Sophie did, and 50 other people who actually matter. And somewhere, I think Grandpa was smiling.